Since reading about Jeffrey Dahmer's cannibal fantasies at a tender age, I have often wondered how many people on this planet have thought about eating their loved ones or even themselves. The story of the Mauerova family is a bizarre and disturbing tale involving cannibalism, child abuse, identity theft, and cults. This crime sounds exactly like the plot of some Quentin Tarantino movie, but what happened in this family is very much true. Klara Mauerova from Kurim in the Czech Republic often told people that she was destined to fulfill a mission for God. Her sister, Katerina, had a mission too, she said. Klara went on to have two sons, Andrei and Jakub. The father of the sons eventually left Klara because of her bizarre behavior. Nevertheless, Klara was said to be a good mother in the beginning and would often be seen playing with her two boys. However, after the breakup, Klara and her sons then moved in with her sister, Katerina. The sisters then became friendly with 33-year-old Barbara Skrylova, an award-winning classical composer. Barbara had a glandular disease that made her look much younger than she really was. In fact, people often mistook her for a child. However, Barbara used this to her advantage. Prone to getting in trouble with the law, Barbara often posed as a minor to avoid charges being filed. Before coming to the Czech Republic from Scandinavia, Barbara posed, and even became legal, as a 13-year-old girl named Annika. Shortly after the three women met one another, they joined a religious cult led by Barbara's father, known as the Grail movement. The cult expressed the belief that their members could get into heaven by doing good deeds. However, they also believed that they were absolved to commit crimes. The three women unleashed a barrage of abuse on 8-year-old Andrei and 9-year-old Jakub. The two boys were locked in a cage in the basement where they remained for a year. During that year, they were completely stripped and given no blankets or anything soft to lay on. They were starved, tortured, beaten, and sexually assaulted. In addition, the boys were burned with cigarettes, given electric shocks, scratched with forks, whipped, and almost drowned. The boys were forced to cut themselves with knives. When they weren't kept in the cage, they would be handcuffed to a table and forced to stand in their own urine for days. If either boy vomited, they would be forced to eat it. It was soon decided they would force feed the boys to make them gain weight. After gaining some weight, the women held Andrei down and skinned his leg as he screamed and pleaded. The three women then ate the raw flesh. They did the same to Jakub and even forced the boys to consume their own flesh. Now, when they weren't being tortured, they were literally being eaten alive. The abuse was eventually uncovered by chance in early May of 2007 when a neighbor's television baby monitor picked up graphic videos from the scene. Klara had installed the television system so that she could watch the abuse from another room. The neighbor saw Andrei with his hands tied behind his back, lying naked on the floor. The neighbor called police who arrived at the scene and rescued Andrei and Jakub. They also rescued another young girl who identified herself as their 13-year-old sister, Annika. The brothers and young girl were sent to a children's home before it was finally uncovered that Annika was actually Barbara. Before police got a chance to arrest her, she fled to Norway where she took up a new identity as a 13-year-old boy named Adam. In Oslo, Barbara shaved her head and enrolled in school. 8 months later, Barbara was eventually tracked down by police. Following the arrests, all of the women turned on each other. Klara claimed that she had been brainwashed by a doctor who sent her text messages instructing her what abuse and torture to inflict on her sons. Police later discovered that the phone number of the so-called doctor actually belonged to Katerina. Barbara also claimed that she was innocent and that she too had been tortured by the sisters, but the court did not believe her claims. According to prosecutors, the purpose of the torture and abuse was to break the boys and enslave them for religious purposes. While the three women were part of the Grail movement, apparently, they had branched out and were creating their own cult. It was this breakaway cult that called for members to prove their devotion through physical devotion. Klara was sentenced to 9 years in prison, Katrina was sentenced to 10 years in prison, and Barbara Skrylova was sentenced to 5 years in prison. They have all since been paroled. For more videos, please subscribe.